The sign of the Dove Church, where our mission extends far beyond the walls of a building. We are a ministry committed to transforming lives, one child, one family, and one community at a time. Through our educational programs, we empower children with the tools that they need to succeed. Our medical camps provide critical care to those in need, while our community farm grows fresh food to nourish young minds and bodies. Through our leadership conferences, we equip church leaders to spread love and hope across the globe. Together, we are building a brighter future grounded in faith and driven by compassion.
Hey, this is Daniel, all the way from Uganda. I lead the Sign of the Dove Ministries in Uganda, together with my wife and other leaders. We have been so much blessed by this ministry since the Lord called us to be able to start the church in the country. The church has been able to grow so many other churches through church houses, and also be able to set up permanent structures in Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and also in DRC, Congo. We have also been able to expand to be able to go to Zambia, and the Lord is giving us also the grace to be able to go further more than that. And on top of that, we don't only do church planting in the country and in Africa at large, but we also support children under Embrace Child Care Ministries. So we work hand in hand because God instructed us to help the children through James 1:27, true and undefiled religion. So what we do is we bring up children who are orphans, the vulnerable, or those who are traumatized. We bring them together and we are able to support them mostly in education. And also for the orphans, we try all our level best to be able to reconnect the families back, to reconnect the children back into their own families. And those that have not been reconnected, we put them in our church families. And it has always been a blessing because you have been able to support us through all this journey. I'm very passionate about ministry because, as you know, some of you know my story, that the day that I gave my life to Christ is the day that I was going to commit suicide while I was at school. So from the time that I received Jesus, I actually became so passionate about preaching the gospel, reaching out to as many communities as possible, because I was raised up as an orphan. I was also fostered and adopted into different families. So I'm very much passionate about the orphans also, together with my wife, who was raised up as an orphan in the orphanage center, and she was there for over 7 years. She's very passionate about having children in families. So that is the reason why we do what we do. We all need Christ, and it's always very hard to preach Christ to someone who is hungry, because there is a lot of poverty in the country. People are not fed, so people are sick because we are not able to have medical facilities. We don't have enough. So what we do as a church, because it's the mandate of the church to fulfill James 1:27, and also, as you know, Jesus talks about feeding, clothing, when he said, I was hungry, I was put in prison, I had no food, I had no clothes. But that is why we do all what we do. So what we do is we try to bring all together to be able to have that holistic kind of ministry, and it has been helping. It has been great, and we wouldn't have been able to achieve all this without your support and without your prayers. Yeah, we evangelize. Actually, we know that the primary call is children for our ministry and for the church. So what we do is we have put all our strength in discipling children and also helping those who cannot be able to go to school. So basically what we do is we go to the remote areas where children cannot be able to access education, and we give them free education. But through free education, we are now able to disciple them, and then after discipling them, they go back home and also disciple their own guardians, their parents, their uncles, their aunties, and their grandmamas. And through all this, we have seen the hand of the Lord working. And we know, as you know, that it's only through education that a country or a nation can be transformed. And that's why we are putting a lot of emphasis on education. We also do farming, because at the end of the day, we found out that we had children in the boarding section. We had children in the school, but children could not even be able to have food. They could eat food once a day. And we came up with an idea of starting to grow our own food so that the children are able to have enough. And through this food supply, not only the school, but also the community, we have been able to impact the community by bringing them to the farm and to educate them to be able to also be able to support their own families. And through these kind of trainings, we also disciple them, and they have come to know Christ. Not because we have been able to have a crusade, open air crusade, but because we have brought them closer and we have been able to disciple them. So our children right now are able to at least be able to have some food twice, or at least 2 meals every day, or 3 meals every day. We also have now been able to purchase the storage containers for the silos. The silos this is where we are going to be able to keep our food, because what we do is we grow corn, we grow beans, we have now banana plantation. Some of you may not even know that, but we also have sweet potatoes, we also have yams. So what we do is, after the harvest, we are now able to save all this food in one place so that they are not eaten by bugs. And this helps us also to be able to save food in case of any calamity. We can always be able to have something enough for the children. We do conferences, seminars, but mostly for pastors, for youth, children's camps, and single mothers, widows, pastors' wives. So the reason we do all this on top of planting all churches is because there are some areas in Uganda where the gospel has never been preached. Like we go to places like Karamoja, which we'll be able to see, where Jesus has never been preached. They have their own culture, they have their own tradition, they don't even know anything about Christ. So what we do is we go to them, we preach to them, we support them in feeding, we support their children. We also hold conferences in their own places so that we can raise up leaders out of them who can be able to preach, or who can be able to spread the gospel not only in their own communities but also to some other districts. We also bring up the young generation, because we know that as we invest much more into the young generation, this is the church of tomorrow that will also be able to spread the gospel. We are training and encouraging our people in the church to be able to adopt and foster, to be able to adapt this vision. So we train and we tell the church people that this is the mandate of the church, to be able to help the children. It is written in the Bible. It is the mandate of the church to be able to support. And what we say you may not be able to do everything, but at least you can be able to do something. Yeah, in ministry, we've always been facing so many challenges. For example, transportation. We can always be able to face challenges like in transportation, going from one district to another district. We have ever been able to face a challenge of having no food for the children, and this has been one of the biggest challenges of having over 300 children at the school, in the center, where you don't have any food for them or any support for them. It has always been a greatest challenge. And also not forgetting our teachers, that our teachers, most of them have been volunteering for the last 7 years. We've never been able to pay them enough because they have sacrificed a lot to be able to love the children and educate them. But these are some of the greatest challenges that we always face. In ministry here, we have been able to, we started with one church, but right now we have been able to plant over 261 churches in over 5 countries across Africa. The children that we support, that you pray for, have also been able to be transformed. For example, the children have been able to go back to their own families to be able to disciple and evangelize, and parents have been able to come to the Lord. We have also been able to reconnect, and think this is a great achievement, that these children who were orphans, but they still had their family members in different places. By God's grace, we have been able to reconnect these children back into their own families. For those who don't have anywhere to go, we still keep them at the school until we find a Christian family that can be able to adopt or to foster them. We have been able to support communities. The church in the community must be significant. It must always come to transform that whole community through different support. We impact the community by training them to be self-sustained. We give them free medical camps, which has also helped as many as possible. Like the last camp that we had, over 1,000 people were treated for free because they don't have money to be able to be treated. And as we do all this, Jesus is being preached, and we have seen many people give their lives to the Lord. We have seen Muslims give their lives to the Lord, and they have been able to come to Christ, not because we have been able to preach to them, but because of what we do in the community. So through this, you can be able to support as much as you can. We go through the churches like over here, and if at all you really feel like you just want to be a blessing to us, please just talk to the one in charge of that. I know that we have some missions leaders within, and they can be able to get to us, and then your support will always be appreciated. But so please support this great work and support what the Lord is doing through prayers and through financial support. I know that the kingdom of the Lord will be built and transformation will take place, and the Lord will bless you in so many different ways.